My story began when I was 12. I was introduced Jesus Christ into my life by my cousins. Straight away, I felt this amazing love on my heart, and I knew that was Jesus. Being so overwhelmed, I went home. I told my friends and I told my parents. Witnessing Jesus to my parents was the most important thing to me. 3 years later, my parents became born-again Christians and pastors. This is my story.
My story began growing up in a Christian home. I always attended church and had a knowledge of who Jesus was, but I didn't know how I could have a relationship with someone who I couldn't see. However, I remember attending a 5 p.m. service and the preacher really related to me. In that moment, I gave my life to Christ. It hasn't always been easy, but I've never looked back since. This is my story.
Okay, so my story began when I was 4 years old when my parents got divorced. It then led me to when I was a teenager, just being out of control, drinking and taking drugs and just going out with lots of boys for attention and stuff because I didn't feel loved. I then got into a relationship. I had 3 children and the relationship turned violent and abusive. I then was just at the lowest point of my life really, and I cried out to God to help me, to also forgive me for all the things that I had done. And I then got invited to church for a VIP evening, and I just felt God call me, and from then I gave my life to Jesus.
My story started when I was in junior school and spending the last 2 years being bullied. I went on to senior school and found myself hanging around with the wrong crowds. Into my late teens, I'd managed to find a job and step away from that lifestyle and become quite severely depressed. I lived this way for a good 10 to 12 years before finding this church. I attended an Alpha course, and that's where I opened my heart and let Jesus into my life. This is my story.